On this episode of Mythbusters, Adam and Jamie put Tinseltown pyrotechnics to the test with two flammable fables.
Time to burn for science.
Will a burning trail of gas actually reach your car and blow up your gas tank?
Stay away from it.
Then, can you catch and stamp out a lit fuse of gunpowder? And will the powder keg really go boom?
Come on, little buddy, don't burn out. Go, 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 go.
And Carrie, Grant, and Tori dip into two more defibrillator myths. Will a jump start for your heart burn your bra?
Clear.
Or even cause your piercing to spark?
Oh. Ow.
Who are the Mythbusters? I'm so pumped! Adam Savage.
Time for science.
And Jamie Hyneman.
Was that beautiful or what?
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
It bleeds. Let's go.
Joining them, Grant Imahara.
Don't give up on me now.
Tori Belleci.
Say hello to my little friend.
And Carrie Byron.
High explosives and electricity. Woo!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
We've got another action hero myth, huh?
We do, and it's really only illustratable by telling a story. So, you are in a showdown with the bad guy and you've got the beat on him, but just as you're about to shoot him, he jumps into his car and drives away, but you're able to get off one shot into his gas tank, which starts leaking fuel.
Oh, I love this one, because I happen to have a lighter in my pocket. I light it, I drop it into the trail of fuel, and it races, catches up with the car blows up, bad guy's dead, right?
Exactly that, and we're gonna do it.
It's a cinematic cliche. Our hero has to stop the escaping bad guy. Okay, so action heroes don't usually come with a beret and mustache. There's the single shot into the gas tank, the leaking trail of gasoline, the nonchalant flick of a light, and finally, the fleeing fugitive feels the full force of Hollywood-style justice. But is this another example of the language of film rewriting the laws of physics?
So how are we gonna do this one? You gonna shoot my car while I drive away at high speeds?
We'll save that for the finale. I think we need to start small and simple, just test what the different fuel types do, you know, how quickly they burn, break it down.
That sounds great.
Cool.
As always, Jamie wants to take the pragmatic approach. But this look into the future confirms that the small and simple plan will quite literally go up in flames.
Faster, faster, faster. Everybody out.
And when the story ends with full-scale mayhem, inevitably, it began with bench tests in the bunker.
The basic metric for all of this is figuring out how fast fuel burns from A to B. So we're basically, under slightly safer conditions, gonna spray some fuel on the ground, light it, time how fast it takes to get from A to B.
3 fuels will make up the samples for this first test, and gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel are the most likely culprits to be found causing a conflagration in an action movie. Gasoline is first up, and Adam squirts a 7-foot trail onto a smooth metal plate.
Here we go. 1.7 seconds to go 7 feet. That's fast.
And despite several tests adding more and more gasoline, that time of 1.5 seconds seems to be constant.
1.5 seconds. Yeah, 1.5 seconds. It's the same whether we use a tiny amount of fuel or a whole lot. Well, this seems to be a constant in the timing of the gasoline. 1.6 seconds. It's really, really steady. 1.5, 1.6. We're within 1/10 of a second. But we're getting a very constant speed, and it doesn't seem to be related to the amount of gasoline we're putting down. So I think we can extrapolate this out to miles per hour and start working with it as a bona fide figure. All right, so it went 7 feet in 6. That's 4.6 feet per second. Equals 3.17 miles per hour. That's actually like a reasonable walk speed.
But what about the other fuels? Diesel's next.
It's not lighting.
No.
But despite liberally applying the blowtorch, it doesn't want to go up in flames.
That's hard stuff to light.
It only lights when it gets mystified.
This is far out. Diesel fuel does not light like normal gasoline. Apparently it's formulated to specifically ignite only under certain circumstances, and one of them is definitely not laying it out on the ground and lighting it with a match.
Next up is jet fuel. jet fuel in 3, 2, 1.
And just like the diesel, jet fuel does anything but rocket along the track.
He's still burnt. He's still burnt.
Very similar to diesel fuel.
But the police are coming, so let's wrap up and get out of here.
Okay.
While Adam tries to explain away his pyromania to local law enforcement officers, Jamie can give us the science.
The reason that diesel fuel and jet fuel don't burn on the ground is that they're not aerosolized. They need to be mixed in with the air in a vapor or a mist for them to burn effectively.
Which leads just one conclusion.
I think it's pretty obvious that of all the things we tested, gasoline is by far the most volatile. If you're a bad guy, you want to light someone's gas trail on fire and blow up their car, you better hope they're driving a gasoline-powered vehicle, not diesel or jet fuel.
So gasoline's perfect trailblazing properties means it's the fuel of choice going forward. But where to next? Well, the mythical action scene in question involves a leaking gas tank as a result of a gunshot. So to find out how fast fuel falls from a bullet hole, Frank Tabor has answered the call with a veritable ballistic buffet.
Can I fire this one? Can I? Do you mind? Is it all right?
Sure, go ahead.
Awesome.
With the gas tank in position at the end of their makeshift gun range, Adam and Jamie are aiming to find out the size of a .22 caliber bullet hole, as well as a .44.
I'd round these off, say the 22 is like a 1/4 inch and this is like a 5/8.
Absolutely. So shooting the hole was only the first part of this test. Now I want to know how fast fuel will leak out of the hole that Jamie shot. So I've got a 1 liter bottle here. I'm going to let the fuel fall into here, count how many seconds it takes to get to exactly 1 liter. Then I'll know how many liters per minute this hole will leak. So that's just over 3 liters a minute. The results of this test are pretty straightforward. .22 caliber bullet leaves a 1/4 inch size hole and leaks about 3.5 liters of fuel per minute. A .44 caliber bullet leaves a hole that's a little over 1/2 inch in diameter and leaks more than double, about 7.5 liters per minute.
So Adam and Jamie know exactly how quickly fuel flows from a gunshot gas tank and the speed at which a trail of gas burns. And with that information, it's full scale ahead. But shooting the gas tank of a car isn't exactly a safe option. So Adam builds a rig for the back of an old pickup.
I'm gonna hang this gas tank off the back of this pickup truck with a steel shield between it and the pickup truck so that I can experiment with amounts of leaking fuel coming out of this, igniting them, and potentially blowing up this gas tank without hurting the driver of this truck while driving.
Adam and Jamie are all set. So it's off to the Alameda Naval Base to heat things up.
Ready, clear! Is that your defibrillator?
Yeah.
Hey, we've been here before.
Yes, but the fans have a couple more shocking myths that they want cleared up. Get it? Shocking, cleared.
Oh, we got it. I'm pretty sure we got it.
Last time, the team said
Everyone clear?
Grant built his very own defibrillator and then busted the myth that medical nitroglycerin patches can give you a severe case of blown up.
Okay, what do we got this time?
Bras and nipple rings.
You're a freak.
You might have to explain this one.
Our unfortunate patient in need of a jump start is either wearing a metal underwire bra or has nipple piercings.
Oh, and the defibrillator arcs to the metal and they get burnt.
Ouch.
God, it's bad enough they're having a heart attack. Now they're gonna get burnt too.
Well, we're gonna find out.
So the fans want to get a pair of parables off their chests. And the first tale the team is tackling is, will an emergency medical procedure cause a bra burning? Or is the brassiere a benign bystander? Using the same ballistic gel torso and homemade defibrillator as last time, our intrepid trio intend to find out. Now, Grant's heart starter may not look like the high-tech gizmo you see on a medical drama, but it is rigged to do exactly the same job. So they have the equipment and patient. Now, all they need is a 40 AA bra. Now, who'd wear a bra that size?
Apparently I am close to the size of the ballistics dummy, therefore I have to go and shop for a bra. Once again, making my family proud.
A girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. Grant, however, is there for fun.
I can't look. I just don't know if these express me. I think I might want another color.
Color's not really the issue here, my friend. It's size.
We don't want it to cut into the ballistics gel, so maybe we'll get it a little bit larger and go from there.
Is this as disturbing as I think it is?
It's even more disturbing than you think it is.
There's no doubt it's disturbing. There's also no doubt we're going to show you more.
Yo, what up? I can't get this thing on.
After half an hour of not-so-wonder bras,
Need some help, big guy?
Oh, got it. I'm becoming a pro.
our odd couple finally make a decision.
This is a fancy one. Ooh.
I think that's our winner, actually.
Ooh, fancy. I think we got a winner.
Tori has liberated his feminine side and finally found a bra that fits. Wait a minute. Liberate? Feminist? Bra burning?
So speaking of burning bras, have you ever heard the phrase bra burner?
Actually, I have. And the funny thing is, it's an urban legend. The entire thing stems from a story that was misreported on a newscast.
Really?
Yeah, in 1968, at the Miss America pageant, there was a protest. The organizers wanted to burn bras, couldn't get a permit. So the whole thing never happened, but everyone thinks it did.
Fascinating. Oh, let's get back to the experiment.
Where's the bra?
Next, Carrie fits our patient with the undergarment. But despite her best attempt to banish the thought, she can't help wondering what happened at the bra store.
You didn't take off your shirt, did you?
No, you nuts?
All right. Do underwire bras conduct? You got the defibrillator?
Yeah, we got it. We're ready to charge.
Okay, this is the scene. Your heart has stopped.
We gonna do maximum 360 joules?
Let's do it.
The medics in a hurry place their homemade barbecue tongue defibrillator in the recommended position and prepare to deliver a life-saving shock.
In 3, 2, 1. Clear.
Nothing. Or we may have saved her life, but we didn't burn her bra.
Clearly, no underwear went up in flames. So is the burning bra myth busted?
To give it the best chance possible, do you want to maybe open up the bra a little bit so that the wire's exposed and we can see what's happening?
Sure, maybe it was a slightly older bra.
And the wire was
Sticking
peeking out.
Yeah.
So it's take two with an unlikely but conceivable set of circumstances.
In 3, 2, 1. Clear.
Ooh, a spark flew.
Oh, we got a burn!
Yep, the sparks fly, and our unlucky patient takes a hot hit.
So what this means for the myth is if they have the paddles in the wrong position and you've got a slightly older bra with some of the metal exposed, you could be in for a few burns in your tender regions.
The bra didn't burst into flames as some of the stories I'd heard, but there's an obvious burn on the skin, so I'd say this one is pretty plausible.
Well, we've created the worst case scenario for this myth, and still it's not looking very plausible.
True, but we actually found a story of a woman that this has happened to.
Yeah, but that was over 20 years ago, and that's back when defibrillators were twice the power they are now, at 600 joules.
But it did happen, and her bra did catch on fire, and that's why you have a bare torso now when they need to defib you.
Well, 600 joules would pack a punch, and bra technology has advanced quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, they're actually a lot easier to take off now.
How did you do that?
Since around the time Jamie started going to the movies in the early 1900s, a blazing trail of flammable fuel has been a Hollywood staple. No action hero's CV would be complete without a lit fuse of gasoline blowing up the bad guys. On the trail of this flammable fable, Jamie and his partner in flame, Adam, have found that gasoline burns in a contiguous line. and they know how much and how quickly fuel leaks from a bullet hole.
So it's just over 3 liters a minute.
So, on location at the Alameda Naval Base, it's time to take things up a notch.
It's kind of dark in here. Maybe we need to light a fire.
Well, you like it? We got a sealed floor, total control, no wind. It's perfect experimental space, and the fire department says provisionally we can light some gasoline in here.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep, the sealed floor and contained environment is perfect for, this myth.
Oh, no! Okay, let's get started with work.
And it just gets better, because the next step involves a perfect piece of Jamie-style invention.
At this point, we've learned what gasoline does when you lay it out in a stream and light it. But we have yet to see what happens when it's coming out of something that's moving, like a vehicle. So I figure, like we normally do, we like to start out small to see what we're dealing with, and therefore I've invented this thing which I call the firebug.
Which, let's face it, is a remote control fire hazard on wheels.
That's absolutely perfect. Well, you want to just start them running around, and I'll light the back end as it goes?
Yeah.
With a full squeezy bottle of gas on board, the firebug is ready.
Fire extinguisher. I'm totally ready.
And by turning the nozzle down to simulate a leaking gas tank, Jamie is all set.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
The firebug takes off, leaving a perfect trail of gasoline in its wake, which Adam happily sets ablaze.
There we go. This little thing is about the coolest RC toy that I've ever seen, but it's extremely dangerous. You can't do this at home. You may have an RC car, you may have some gasoline, but you could die, you could burn your house down.
This is the coolest remote control car I've ever seen.
We've got fire extinguishers and EMTs and everything. We're prepared. You're not. Don't try it at home.
Really? Leave this one to the experts. After all, who needs to make that call to your parents explaining you just burnt the house down?
That was awesome. Okay. That was actually a pretty good test. It told us a lot of what we needed to know. We wanted to know if you could lay down a line of fuel out of a moving vehicle and it would remain contiguous. The answer is yes. And it doesn't seem like we need that much fuel. So I think we're ready to go full scale. I think we've learned what we wanted to know, although Jamie still seems to be enjoying setting stuff on fire.
Full scale it is. And for that, they need Firebug's big brother.
Say hello to the fire beast.
The Fire Beast, a truck with a leaking gas tank attachment. Don't expect to see one of these in a showroom near you.
This is the patented Mythbusters 10-minute solution for controlling the fuel from the driver's seat. Rather than a complex solenoid-driven valve or something like that, it's a rope. Pull on the rope, nozzle lifts above the level of the fuel. Let it go, and it starts to run out. It's just that simple.
Mythbuster ingenuity, also useful for time-saving home inventions.
I use one of those when I go to the bathroom. I'm done.
So on this test, Adam and Jamie will get a good feel for this movie myth. They already know a gas trail burns like it does in the movies. They've got 44 and 22 caliber sized bullet holes in their gas tank. And they've seen, in small scale, a continuous gas trail laid by a moving vehicle.
I am the fire ninja.
And you could say Adam is excited. And sore.
So, I mean, our goal here is just to find out if the 22 caliber size hole or the 44 caliber hole leaves enough fuel behind the truck for the fire to follow, right?
And at what speed it'll sort of keep up with it. So I'm just going to listen for your cues on the radio,
Right.
and you tell me to speed up or slow down. That's what I'll do.
Okay, start with a baseline of like 5 miles an hour. A good brisk run, because that seems to be what we've been seeing, 3.5, 4 miles an hour for the fuel.
In this action movie scenario, Jamie's playing the part of the escaping bad guy with a 22 caliber bullet hole in his gas tank.
It's time to burn for science. Let's go.
And Adam is standing in for the hero who's going to light up the gas trail Jamie's leaving behind.
Jamie, whenever you're ready, lower down the fuel and start driving.
Jamie the villain makes a run for it.
I'm lighting the fuel now. You can slow down, Jamie. It's moving quite slowly.
But there's no need to hurry.
That's moving really slowly.
Not exactly the high-speed blazing trail of fire we're used to seeing on the silver screen.
Okay, yeah, you can stop it.
I had to put my brakes on. I wasn't giving it any fuel to get it to go that slow. I was just like idling with my brakes half on to do
So
that.
you can pretty much push a car faster than gasoline burns.
Kind of, sort of.
So does that put the brakes on this myth? Or will the .44 caliber sized hole make a difference?
My prediction is from what I saw in the bunker test, volume didn't affect speed that much. Now, this is a much bigger test than we were able to do in the bunker, so this will be pretty definitive, but I don't think it's going to prove anything different than we've already seen.
Jamie moves off, gently idling along at less than 5 miles an hour, easily staying ahead of the lit trail.
It's looking good, Jamie. It's keeping pace with you about 10 feet back.
Until Adam has a lapse in concentration on radio duties and fails to warn Jamie the flames are gaining on him.
Faster, faster, faster. Lift it up.
It was going along fine until it started to catch up a little bit. And all of a sudden, Adam's saying, gun it. And I took off, but it was too late. It actually stayed with me, and it caught up with the tank, and it could have set it off.
Traveling at the lower limit of the speedometer, Jamie is unsure of his speed, but it seems as though the fresher the trail, the faster it burns. However, another run to test that hypothesis is brought to an abrupt end when Jamie gets hemmed in.
Guys, I'm gonna stop. We're gonna start to have crossover.
As another band of busters once said, it's a bad idea to cross the streams.
Hey, you, it stinks in here. We're waiting for the smoke to clear in there, but provisionally, I'll say the .44 caliber hole test was really educational. Specifically noticing that the closer the line of gas got to the source, i.e. the gas tank, the faster the flame traveled. And remember, it's not the liquid gas that's burning, it's the vapor gas above the liquid. So if it's had a long time to settle, that vapor spreads out and it's got a lot of wind resistance, like a weather front. But the closer it gets, the faster it travels. There may actually be something to this. That was pretty good for a best case scenario.
Yeah, you know, epoxy sealed floor, no wind, perfectly flat and smooth. I think we got to go outside next.
I think we do. Let's come back tonight.
Okay.
3, 2,
Cary Grant and Tori have burnt their bra and proved it's plausible that underwired underwear can be too hot to handle. But the team have their eye on another defibrillator myth.
So this myth is about defibrillating somebody who has nipple piercings. Now they're metal, and there's a possibility that when the paddles go to the skin and they discharge, that it could actually arc to the metal in the piercing.
Our ballistics media torso is going through a rebellious phase and wants to upset his mom.
I'm pretty sure this isn't how they do it.
A barbell in each nipple should do it.
This looks really weird.
You think?
Let's just do this one.
Like a well-oiled machine, our trio of highly untrained medics prep the patient and administer the shock.
clear.
And just like the bra test, with the paddles in the recommended position, there's no sign of that mythical sparking. But this time, they know exactly how to replicate the results. They're using 40 times the voltage of a household socket, real close to a conductive metal object in the left nipple of the patient. As Electric 6 once said, danger, danger, high voltage.
Nipple piercing defibrillation test with the paddles ridiculously close together, touching the piercing.
3, 2, 1, clear.
Whoa. Ow. That was a good one.
That was good.
The end of the piercing is black, surrounded by like an indention that took the coating off of the piercing.
Whoa.
That seems like it'd be enough to burn you.
Yeah, I think the kind of heat that would melt the coating would definitely burn your skin.
So are the fans right? Is this another plausible result?
Okay, guys, what are we calling this one?
That's a good question.
Well, we did get some scorching from arcing between the defibrillator paddles.
Yeah, but that's when the paddles were practically touching each other. You know, during defibrillation, there's no way they would be that close.
And the metal of the underwire bra would have to be exposed.
And medics are trained to remove anything that's going to impede that procedure anyway.
So we're calling this one plausible?
Yeah, but totally unlikely.
Almost impossible.
All right.
Adam and Jamie are no strangers to testing tales about blazing trails. When they put Hollywood on trial, they stubbed out the myth that you can light up fuel on the floor with a cigarette.
I'm rolling it in the gasoline.
Nothing's happening.
But this time they're testing whether the trail, lit by G.I. Jamie, will blow up an escaping car's gas tank. And for a definitive answer, they've returned to the runway at Alameda.
This is perfect. The sun is setting, the wind's dying, we've got like ideal real-world conditions here.
And just as importantly, it'll be dark soon, meaning they'll be able to clearly see the flame.
The first thing we're going to do is sort of a control. We're going to put a .44 caliber sized hole in the tank. Gasoline's going to come running out of the tank as the truck is moving.
Remember, the previous tests took place on a sealed floor out of the elements. So this first test is a control to see if the lit trail burns continuously, just like it did indoors.
Adam, I can't see a thing back there, so I'm totally in your hands as far as what I'm doing with this truck.
The first thing I'm gonna do if I see the fire getting too close to you is tell you to pull up the nozzle.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Got it.
Jamie at the start position lowers the hose, letting the fuel spill out.
And go.
And Adam, once again, fanning the flames of his pyromania, lights her up.
More. Good, good speed, good speed. And that's pretty much all she wrote. For a real-world control, that test went about as good as I could have hoped. Jamie drove at a reasonable speed. The fuel line he laid down burned totally continuously. What I'm looking for here is not whether or not the fuel line will catch up to Jamie. It's really actually just whether or not it'll burn in a single line. And for a control, it couldn't have gone better.
A good control, but really it's a case of so far, so slow.
In the testing so far, I've been driving so slowly that it's not even registering on the speedometer. This next test, I'm going to get up to 20 miles an hour before I hit the starting line. Right at the starting line, I'll be dropping the hose, starting to leak fuel out, and my guess is that it's going to be such a thin stream that actually contacts the pavement that it's not going to light more than a few inches.
It's still moving towards him. Oh, but it's petering out.
Which means the fleeing fugitive is free and clear.
That was interesting. You did that perfectly. The gas started before the first two cones and ended after the second, and when I set it on fire, it burned longer than I thought it would, almost 100 feet. And then it just couldn't continue, and it petered out there, and you know, the gas had already evaporated, the line was too thin, it wasn't gonna go.
And 20 miles an hour isn't that fast.
No, not like an action movie car chase. It would be a lot faster, so it would only get worse for this myth at any speed above 20.
Not looking too good.
No, it's not.
Yep, if our villain takes off at any kind of reasonable speed, the trail simply burns out. And although the fat lady is preparing her tonsils, Adam and Jamie aren't ready to call it. After all, there's two parts to this myth.
Even though we've proved that it is extremely unlikely under most circumstances for the line of burning gasoline to get to the tank, now it's time to find out what happens if it actually does. We're removing the rubber hose. We've got just a hole sticking out of the gas tank. We're going to let the fire get all the way to it, and Jamie will actually only be crawling forward to keep any fuel or fire from getting to his truck side of the metal shield.
Adam in full safety gear lights up the pool of fuel, and Jamie crawls forward, letting the flame catch up.
Okay, it's reached the tank. It's reached the tank, it's burning up this line, but it's not exploding yet.
Stay away from it.
It's just running out and burning. It's not in any danger of getting under your tires.
Don't let your guard down yet.
Don't worry.
That was not what I expected out of that test. You know, in every movie, every bullet or cigarette equals an exploding gas tank. They seem to be on hair triggers. And in this case, we had gas pouring out of a tank on fire for about a good 6 or 7 minutes. The wind started to whip up the gasoline and the flames. The flames got under the tank, which heated it up. And once they heated it up, the air inside started expanding, and I started watching the gas spewing out of the hole. At that point, the flames got so vigorous, they engulfed one of our cameras, and I decided to pull the plug and extinguish everything.
Whoa, camera, let's put it out.
Despite being cooked to within an inch of its digital life, the camera came through and got the shot.
Well, there's a problem.
Oh, that's awesome!
So what do we do now?
Well, I think we're back to our old friend and nemesis, air-fuel mixture. I think we need to know exactly when we're at the correct explosive limit, and I think we do whatever it takes to get that. Let's pop off those ports on top, let's get some air moving around in there, put some gas in, do the same thing we did before, but we don't light it until we have a meter that tells us we're at the right explosive limit.
And this time, let's take the camera away from it.
I think so.
In an attempt to get that Hollywood-style big boom, Adam and Jamie open up several ports on the tank. But why are they even necessary?
Gasoline or gasoline vapor by itself is not exploding. It needs a source of ignition, and it needs air. In fact, it needs a very specific amount of air for it to blow up. That range is above 1.4% vapor to air or below 7.6% vapor to air. If it's outside that range, it's not exploding. If it's within that range and it has a source of ignition, it can blow up. Now, we're going to use this meter here to determine what we've got in the tank and whether we can get it to the butter zone or not.
So the mix of air and fuel vapor in the gas tank has to be just right. In a vapor-rich environment, there has to be the right amount of air to be in what's known as the flammability band. And in a contained environment with an ignition source, you're in prime territory for an explosion. And to detect that crucial air-to-fuel ratio, the guys are using a portable gas monitor.
It's going back and forth between 4 and 4.5.
That's fantastic.
And so we're right in the butter zone. Yeah.
Awesome, let's go, let's do it.
With the added through flow, the air-fuel mixture is perfect. And we're about to find out
Go ahead.
if those spectacular cinematic explosions are based on real-world physics.
Be careful, you guys. Not too close.
Or simply movie magic.
Good, stop. It's burning in the tank.
But it's stubbornly refusing to detonate.
The facts here are pretty simple. We were at 5%. That is exactly the butter zone we were looking for. We got perfect ignition, the test went really well, and we did not get an explosion. Don't get me wrong, if my car's on fire, I'm gonna be running away from it. All I'm saying is the way the movies look at gas tanks and explosions is just wrong.
Hey, Adam?
Yeah.
Should I just lay down some fire and we call it a day?
This is actually really frustrating to look at because if the tank is enclosed, it very quickly goes above the explosive limit. If it's open like we had it, then it's just burning. It's just flame. It's not explosion.
No explosion! That's a result. How do you want to wrap up Vapor Trail?
Well, the flame did follow right along that trail of gasoline as it was laid down. In fact, it went all the way up to the tank.
Yeah, but it went so slowly, man. It would never catch up to any car. You could push a car faster than that gasoline trail burned. And once it got to the tank, it don't blow up.
I guess we gotta call it busted then.
Busted it is.
Jamie and Adam have busted the movie myth that a blazing trail of gasoline will catch a car and explode the gas tank. But this fiery fable is still alive.
I know it's a bit of a segue, but I don't feel like we're all the way done with Hollywood pyrotechnics just yet.
Why is that?
Because I've got another one I want to try, and it is an old cowboy myth that involves gunpowder.
Oh, you mean where the bad guy lays down the trail of gunpowder, it goes to the keg, he lights it, but the good guy rushes in and puts out the flame right before it reaches the keg?
God, it's like you're a mind reader or something. That's exactly it.
So it's Trailblazers Part 2. But this movie myth comes from way back yonder, when your average action scene involved cowboys and gunpowder, not cars and gasoline. A lit trail of gunpowder is heading for a powder keg, and if it can't be stopped, disaster. But our hero saves the day by leaping ahead of the sparking fuse and kicking out the trail. Back in the bunker, the team begin testing to find out what would happen in real life.
I don't think this is going to work. The whole premise we're testing, just can a cowboy lay out a line of black powder, and if I saw it and tried to kick out that powder before it got to something that it was going to blow up, would I have enough time? I don't think I would. I think the black powder is going to burn too fast. Every time we've ever noodled with it on the show, its defining characteristic is that it's super fast.
So, like the vapor trail, Adam thinks this movie myth is just another special effect.
My guess is it's going to be less a shh than a shaboom kind of moment. We'll see. Well, without the boom. We're not adding in any boom just yet. It's all about the shh.
On-site supervising, it's pyrotechnician Rob Klott, and he's got the shaboom making materials.
This is black powder. You can buy this in most gun shops, and it's actually the closest thing we have to what would be period correct for like a cowboy movie. It's what we've used when we fired our Civil War era musket, when we fired our period ammunition. This is perfect for these tests.
Yep, black powder and the Mythbusters go way back. It's been particularly useful for period realism in a number of ballistic myths. And as an added bonus, it does this.
Fire! Firing! 3, 2, 1!
And seeing it's an integral part of the show, let's find out some more.
We use black powder in a lot of our experiments.
Yeah, black powder engine, killer cigarette butts, and salami rocket.
Do you know who invented it?
The Chinese, right?
Yeah, the Chinese were searching for the secret of eternal life, and they somehow came up with black powder.
Eternal life, I did not know that.
Well, obviously they didn't achieve eternal life, and in fact, they didn't even realize that they'd created a weapon. They were using black powder on things like skin irritations, like fungus.
Now, that is one skin treatment I would not want to have on my skin standing close to an open flame.
Regardless, I think we found some uses for it.
First up, they're starting small, a trail just a few feet long.
I think that's great. What do you think? I mean, this is just to see what it does.
Just see how it feels.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
To light it safely, Adam has pulled out all the stops to impress Rob.
This is a standard industry remote lighter. This is your butane torch on the end of a couple of tie straps on some structural aluminum, providing some distance between me and the flame so I can light while I'm safely away from the explosion.
All right. Everybody ready? Yeah. Here we go.
That's a little too fast.
Yep, and the myth that you could run ahead of the burning fuse looks like it's gone up in smoke already.
Gunpowder by design burns very quickly. When you have it inside a gun, it burns explosively quickly. When we lay it out in a line, it just kind of burns fast.
Well, it behaved exactly the way I thought it would behave. In fact, you'll see that the rating for this is which is pretty much the sound it made when we lit it. And that's what it's based on. What do you think we do now?
Well, I think we need to come up with a more controlled way of laying down the powder, something that's very consistent and maybe a little less of it.
Jamie, basing his design on an old-fashioned powder horn, soon has a solution. And they're ready to see how quickly a 3-foot line of powder burns.
Oh, look at that.
That was really nice. That was much slower. And it was like,
that was like a really slow walk.
It was. We found out that there is no experiment too small for us to be wrong about what the results are going to be. I thought that if we laid out a line here and it was fairly visible black powder, that it would go and just go really fast. But in fact, it seems to burn at a rate not unreasonably close to what I'm used to remembering in cowboy movies. I'm starting to think that If we laid out a line of powder like this, maybe 20 feet long, with a, keg at the end that might blow up, and I had a few seconds to run over and kick this line so it would stop igniting, then I might actually be able to do that.
I figure I could outrun that pretty easily.
Well, if you want to try, I say we get out to the bomb range and do it for real.
Okay, let's get
out of here.
Alameda County Bomb Disposal Range, Adam and Jamie's second home.
Another day at the bomb range.
That's right.
And as usual, their hospitable host keeping them out of hospital is Sergeant J.D. Nelson.
The bomb range is a perfect location for us because we can blow stuff up, but it's a little bit rocky. And it's dirt, so we want to be able to see the black powder. We're going to lay out basically a dance floor for dancing with the black powder. It's about 20 some odd sheets of plywood or chipboard that we're going to lay out in a line approximately 80 to 100 feet long. Should be plenty of a run for our black powder tests. Well, there you go, dance floor. My dance card is empty. Let's go!
Adam's job is to kick out the line of burning powder before it reaches this. Now, for safety reasons, we're not going to put any powder in this. We're not quite ready for Adam to blow up just yet.
What Jamie means is, for safety reasons, the keg will be empty. But at the end of an 80-foot trail of black powder, Adam can't resist adding a cupful of extra motivation.
Who's first?
I really would like to try it first. Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
My motivation for this is really humanity is going down the wrong path. That's the gunpowder line, and I'm the only one who can see that it's burning, and I've got to kick it out before it explodes.
2, 3, here we go. It's not that hard to outrun it. Here it comes. I stopped it!
Look at that.
Here, light this one. It's like a really brisk walk, really. Here comes some things. Boom! This is a fun job. Well, I don't know about you, but it seems to me it doesn't move as fast as I thought it was going to move. I think it's pretty easy to run down a line of gunpowder and kick it out to stop it from blowing up. Do you want to give it a shot, or do you think we've got this one in the bag?
I'll give it a shot, but you know what? I want to wait till it gets really far down there and then see if I can catch up with it and kick it out.
Okay, done. Put them on, little feet. The reason Jamie's feet are so small is that he escaped from communist China in the 40s, dressed as a woman with bound feet. They've never gotten bigger again.
Ready to race some powder. Adam, would you mind laying the powder? I'm just gonna sort of relax and you can light it. I got a good view.
Jamie's idea of racing is pretty laid back.
Powder kick test number 2. Grandpa Hyneman presiding. Go!
Jamie, cool as a cucumber, gives the fuse a good head start. Of course, he's thinking his only obstacle will be covering the ground in time.
Oh, it's still going!
Yeah, He pushed me out of the way. What the hell was that?
I was giving you more of a challenge.
We wanted to find out whether it is possible to outrun a burning line of powder, break the line, and stop it before it reaches the barrel and blows up the barrel. Turns out, it is. We did it. It's not that hard, really.
So the movie myth that you can outrun a lit trail of gunpowder is confirmed. But the fun doesn't end there. The fuse is still burning on this fable. Jamie, despite unforeseen obstacles, is confident that you can outrun and kick out a burning fuse of gunpowder. But the guys haven't quite satisfied their big boom quota.
The next thing we need to know is what would happen if you were not successful. Maybe somebody got in your way or pushed you and, before you were able to do your job. Does the barrel blow up? Will it run up the stream of powder coming out of the barrel? Are we going to see a big explosion?
It's a cartoon caper classic. The lit fuse of gunpowder leads right to the powder keg and kablooey! But would the barrel really blow, or would the fuse just fizzle out when it reaches the end of the line?
Go ahead and plug it in.
And to find out, they'll need to light the powder remotely. And our bright sparks have just the thing.
See, it's a 20,000 volt neon transformer. I know that the electrical resistance of air is roughly 10,000 volts per centimeter, which means I only need to get the two ends of this transformer within 2 centimeters of each other for that arc to travel across them. And it is the most ideal thing to light the gunpowder. Perfect.
Next, with Adam and Jamie displaying all the characteristics of kids who know the ice cream man is coming,
Yet another thing to not try at home.
fill the keg with powder and lay down the road to explode.
So as soon as the line gets here, shaboom! At least in theory.
It's a theory they can't wait to put into practice. Plus, there's a breeze and a danger the black powder will soon be blowing in the wind.
All right, let's do this thing.
So it's double time down to the bunker.
So I'm going to count it down. Tell me when you're set.
I am totally set now.
Okay, going in 3, 2, 1.
There it goes.
Look at it go.
The trail is ablaze, and just like in the movies, it races towards its destination.
Come on, little buddy, don't burn out. Go, 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 go.
A barrel full of big boom.
Go, go, go.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was the best explosion we've ever done. I swear.
That was a serious bang.
Yeah. Man, why did it take all its time to get there? It was like, that's the way I always expected it should be. Awesome. Let's get an all clear and go inspect.
This is one cinematic and cartoon cliche that does exactly what it says on the label.
What happens when a burning line of gunpowder reaches a keg full of gunpowder? Exactly what you think. It's going to blow up, and that's what it did.
Each one of these expanded a little bit.
And look at all the burn stripes on the inside.
It's quite clear what it did, but it blew out both ends. It blew out the weakest part. If you watch the show at all, you know that I like to live my life halfway like an action movie hero and halfway like a cartoon character. And this explosion satisfied both of those halves of my personality. I proclaim it my favorite ever Mythbusters explosion.
How are we going to call this one?
All right, let's go down the list one by one. The myth that you can light a line of black powder and yet still someone can outrun that line as it's on fire and kick it and break its stream before it gets to an explosive thing.
Perfectly plausible.
And the myth that that line of black powder, if it got all the way to a powder keg full of powder, would it explode that keg?
Absolutely plausible.
I totally agree. I think it's plausible. I think we've done some very good work here today.
Let's get out of here.
All right.